Well, welcome to the Money Tip podcast presented by Fully Funded Life. My name is Joe Sengel, one of the two hosts of the show. I'm fired up to welcome Megan Hibbard all the way from North Carolina. Are you fired up today?
Fired up. How are you?
I'm doing great, holding it down in South Carolina. And you moved maybe 4 hours away, is that right? 4.5 hours away?
Yeah, it's a long 4.5 hours too.
Yeah, it's all one Interstate 85. Anybody's
It's
drove down here.
it's
But
so
you're closer to
boring.
the beach, I think. Is that true? Than you used
Yes.
to be? Yeah. How long does it take you to get to a beach that has the
Mm,
Atlantic Ocean?
Probably a little less than 2 hours.
Okay. The closest one here is about 3 hours, 45 minutes. That would be Charleston. Okay.
Mhm.
So this is episode number what?
3:55.
Episode number 355. And you've been a part of most of them. Get fired up.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had a little pause there in the middle when you had some twins. Uh,
Mhm.
Now, we're going to talk about something that is kind of a year wrap up episode of the podcast. Give everybody the kind of the theme, maybe the title of this show.
Yep, so our theme is what 2025 taught us about money and how to move forward, kind of our running title here. But as we're coming to I cannot believe this, but as we come to a close of 2025, I feel like we just started, but we really did wanna take a moment to pause because this time of year can feel heavy when it comes to money. So maybe you're proud of some of the progress that you made, but you also might be aware that things maybe didn't go as planned. Maybe money felt tighter than you expected, or you ended the year with more questions than answered. And if that's you, we want you here this right away. You're not behind and you're not alone. So that's a huge thing. You're not behind, you're not
That's why
alone.
we have the podcast. We're
Yes.
here to provide helpful, right now relevant information. And
Yep.
so, is this like we're gonna help people set New Year's resolutions and 1, 2, 3 goals? Is that what we're doing?
If only. Nope.
Snapping
So
our
today
fingers and fixing all financial issues?
uh So today's episode isn't about setting big financial resolutions or fixing everything overnight. If only everything overnight was fixing it was easy, but we're going to be reflecting on what 2025 taught us about money and how to step into 2026 with a little more clarity, margin, and confidence. So we're going to look back honestly and talk about a few financial lessons worth carrying forward, and then we'll give you some ways to start 2026 well without pressure or shame.
Yeah, and, you're talking about more clarity, more margin, more confidence. I don't know a person who'd be listening to this podcast who doesn't want some more of that. So,
Mm.
let's help people. Now, there were some common things that if I were a betting individual, I would bet 9 out of 10 individuals listening to this podcast, if not 10 out of 10, experience. Uh,
Mhm.
One of them is higher cost. And as a result of higher cost, tighter margins. Like, it just seems like it takes more to do the basic essentials, right?
Yeah. I mean, you go to the store and your groceries don't buy as much, or even like Christmas shopping. I feel like, we're at the end of the year, Christmas is over, but you're looking back and you're like, I feel like I spent maybe the same amount of money, or maybe you felt like you spent more money on Christmas and you looked and you're like, it just didn't go. I wasn't able to buy, as much as I usually am. You feel it in your groceries, you feel it in every aspect, I feel like, is everything costs more and you get less.
Yeah. And because of that, savings feels harder. Uh, Even if you had the right intentions, it's just harder. Maybe it feels harder because it is harder. So,
Hmm.
you know, one of the things that we want to say to all of our listeners is that when you survive through a tough financial year or a period of time in your life, it is still progress to survive through it because that by being able to survive through that, that enables you to thrive as things improve. So,
Hmm.
what are some questions we should ask ourselves, Megan? Like
Yeah.
for all of our listeners, give us a couple questions we should be thinking about.
Yeah, so I think as you look back on 2025, thinking about where did my money feel tight? So where were you when you look at your budget or when you think about it, you start breathing a little heavier, maybe a little sweat, your money just it felt tight. Maybe it was one area or maybe it was just overall. And then where did you gain awareness? So even if you feel like you didn't necessarily gain ground, but you gained awareness on something. So I need to do this. I need to save for this. I need to prepare for this. Even if you look back and you're like, oh, I didn't do that step, you still gained awareness. And we can move into 2026 and say, Now let's take this step that we need to. But gaining awareness is taking a step, and now it's time to take the step that leads you into the next part of that, which is actually doing the thing.
Yeah, and I like to ask myself the question, where as you said that, where did my money feel tight? Well, I will tell you right now, food,
Mhm.
100% food. Like, to take my family of 4, the older daughter's kind of fled. She's not always going out to eat with us these days, otherwise it'd be 5 of us. It's unbelievable how much the bill is. Like, go to Texas Roadhouse, which I love going to Texas Roadhouse. It's dumbfounding.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's been inflation on tips. Like, the price is way more, and then, like, 15%, they have that as an intro level tip now. I
Mhm.
remember when 15% was considered an amazing tip. Seems to
Yeah.
me like it still is, but don't get me started on tipping. But I
We
also ask
we got a
myself,
whole episode on tipping.
we had a whole episode on that. But where did I gain awareness? I gained awareness on I love teaching this stuff, but one of the things that I'm a beneficiary of now, and I really want to teach it a lot, is a lot of the people that I meet, they're trying to time the market. They're doing market timing, they're timing the market. When is the right time to get in and invest? And I heard somebody say this, so I don't even know where I heard it, but time in market is way better than timing the market.
Mhm.
And I've been a beneficiary of having started investing when I was 22 and 51, as we end this year. It's really weird how that works. But
That's the
29 years of investing has proven to me that investing a little all the time and having that money in the market, the time in the market, I have to enunciate this, time in is way better than timing the
mm.
market. So those are 2 things that where my money felt tight, where did I gain awareness? Hey, for the Hibbert household, where would you say your money felt tight? Where did you gain awareness?
Yeah, I think it's definitely the grocery store for us. Like, we don't eat out, we try not to eat out a ton. It's definitely something we're, like, working through with our kids because they love eating out, and so we try to make it special when we can. And so I feel like for us, it's the grocery store when you're like I mean, there's 5 of us, and my 6-year-old eats like an 18-year-old football player. Like, I don't know where he's putting it, but the boy can pack away food, and so we really feel that of, like, we're buying the things that we were buying before, but, like, we're not it's cost way more, and we feel like we need to buy more now because the boys are eating more, and so we definitely feel it there. And I would say, where do we gain awareness? I feel like knowing changes need to be made with, like, our investing long term, like, taking another step into that and knowing, "Okay, we're at this age, and we wanna make sure we're well prepared for the future," and, like, making sure we're prepared now and, like, saving, but also making sure that that next season, long
Yeah,
time from now,
yeah. That
that
season of
we're
that 6-year-old going off to college, it's only 12 years away, it's a dozen years away. And
Yeah,
then, you know, put another 20 years behind that, and here comes retirement. It's crazy.
yeah.
That's really good, and I hope that for each of our listeners that you really take those 2 questions seriously. Where did your money feel tight? Because there's lessons to be learned there. And where have you gained awareness that you can apply next year? And we kinda wanted to share some financial lessons that we feel like are always worth carrying forward, and we'll share 3 of them. Share the
Mhm.
first one, Megan.
Yep, so margin matters. So we talk about this a lot, but I feel like when you have margin, you experience this. You sleep better, you breathe better. You're not carrying that weight around with you all the time, but you have this I mean, we talk about financial freedom, but you have this level of like, okay, and when an unexpected expense happens that you have saved for and you have the margin, you're ready for it, even though it's unexpected. Or, the HOA dues come, but you've been preparing for like planning and saving for them all year. Or there's just different things like that when you have this margin and freedom comes from this space and it's not just earning more money because earning more money doesn't matter if you're not saving and spend like if you're not utilizing the money well, if you
Right.
don't have the discipline to save and invest and give and do all of these things that, we've been teaching, then it doesn't matter how much you're making. The margin is still going to be just as small. But when you have that discipline, you're able to handle whatever the income is and have the margin and know that it does matter.
And I always love going to the good book, and Proverbs 21:20 says, "In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." So it's really saying it's important to have savings, to have margin. And I love how Solomon wrote it in Ecclesiastes 7:12. He says that wisdom is a shelter as money is a shelter. He's acknowledging they both provide something. But of course, he says the advantage of wisdom is this: it preserves those who has it. So margin matters. So you have to fight for it. Margin does not just happen. It requires a fight. It requires an ongoing battle. The battle is never won. It is ongoing. And it's why, frankly, it's a foundational element of the ladder. Saving for known upcoming expenses. That's a type of margin. We have it in rung number 2, having 1 month worth of expenses saved up. Here we go to rung number 5, building even more margin of a minimum of 3 months. You gotta fight for it. And I will tell you, Megan, one of the things, you know, I canceled like half of the streaming things that are coming into our household. I just cut them all off. And some of them are so convoluted. They've got partnerships with like cell phone companies, and you got to go to your cell phone company to get rid of it. And it's like you got to leap and stand on 2 toes. And I like it's, but you know what? You got to fight for it. And so I
Mhm.
fought for it. And
Yep.
so margin matters. So it freedom does indeed happen because you fought for it.
Mm.
Freedom happens after a fight. I don't know if that's a
Mm.
principle, but it feels like one financially.
Yeah.
A second one is what?
Yep. So another one we talked about this briefly earlier, but awareness is a win. So tracking and noticing and paying attention, it does count as progress. Now, we don't want to stay there is the is a key too. So we want to have the awareness because I feel like once you have the awareness, it's almost like you're a runner and they're like ready, set, go, and the awareness is the go, and you're like, "Oh, okay, well now I need to like," but you can't just stay in there because 'cause you're not gonna win the race. You got you gotta start running, you know? And so I feel like awareness is a win, but also taking the next step and not staying there,
Yeah.
but
Awareness
knowing.
gets your attention,
Yeah.
and awareness is just that. It is an awakening to
Mm.
know, "Hey, this needs attention." And then, of
Mhm.
course, taking action, and that leads us to our 3rd financial lesson that we feel like is worth carrying forward into the new year.
Yeah, small consistent habits can sometimes beat big resets. So I say sometimes because there are moments when a huge reset needs to happen. You need to cut up all of the credit cards. You need to make drastic changes. You need to cut a lot of
Sell the house,
spending. Yeah, you
sell
there's
the
huge
car,
things you
sell the
need to
boat,
do.
sell the Harley. Yeah.
But there's also times when I feel like we especially when you hit this New Year's time, and we're gonna talk about this a little bit further down, so I don't wanna give too much away, but you feel like you have to have these massive goals and these massive, huge resets when sometimes these small, consistent habits, budgeting every month, saving a set number of money every month, giving to your church, you know, you're investing each month. It's
Yeah.
automatic. These habits can form huge life-changing things that happen, and it's in the month to month mundane things that these huge like, when you get 20 years down the road, you're like, "Oh, that's what did it for me. It was
I
these things, these
I
small
totally agree.
habits."
Like, and, as a believer, I I think when I recognize that the habit of being a wise steward, the habit of being a budgeter, the discipline of budgeting, the discipline of giving generously, that becomes a holy habit. And when that holy habit happens, well, then you're positioned, for heart change, because your money it is connected to your heart, and your heart is connected to your money's connected to your heart. It works both ways, and having that small, consistent set of habits that honor the Lord, it
Mm.
gives you a greater level of importance to this activity that you're doing, which can seem mundane, which can feel a little, depressing at times, preparing a budget. "Oh, look, I'm reminding myself that I have very little extra again." But over time, those holy habits can really they really do beat down big resets, and
Mhm.
that's what I'm saying with the time in market versus timing the market. Timing the market is trying to do something big right now, but if it's a every time you get paid type thing and you do that for 30 years, well, let me tell you, it will beat any type of big reset.
Yeah.
So, that you're talking about some healthier approach to money this year. Do you have some tips?
Mhm. So, like I started to mention, shifting away from this pressure-based goal setting. So, I think as we go into January and as you're setting your New Year's resolutions or your goals or whatever, I think not feeling the pressure to create these overwhelming financial resolutions, but this is the key, but focusing on your next step. So, what is a step that you can take in January? What is a step you can take this next week as we go into the new year? Like, what is a step that you can take? And don't just take that one step and then you're like, check, I'm done for the year. Like, I did my step. But let's continuing moving forward in those, but focusing more on a step. Like, I can take a step, not I can become like, maybe you wanna become I don't know, my screen is, like, doing fireworks and stuff. Um, I was excited about that. But maybe you wanna be debt-free, and maybe that's your goal, and maybe you know that you can be debt-free in 3 years. Okay, well, let's focus on debt snowballing one of your debts in January, and let's focus on what can we cut so that we can create that debt snowball effect and make progress. You are focusing on a huge thing, but in January, you're focusing on one step of debt snowballing one of your debts and not, I need to pay off $15,000.
Yeah. I mean, having that financial focus, you know, it it is hugely helpful. I remember a time when the focus was, "We're gonna build margin." That's all we focused on. We just paid minimum payments on all of our debt and focused on margin, and then we achieved that through focus. Focus helps. I always say it's not hocus pocus, it's focus pocus, right? And you
Yeah.
focus, uh, on that and you make progress, and then we decided, "Okay, now the time has come to get rid of debt." So that required a double-sided of focus. It was the focus of no new debt and at putting extra dollars towards the existing debt. And then we achieved that. And then the focus became another area of building our investments. And so I really do encourage our listeners to think about it. What is it for you this year? Is it to build in the discipline of having a budget every month? Is it to get control of your money as far as cutting some expenses that need to go? Uh, are you striving to have peace in your life financially? Like, what are you contending for? Because making I like the way that we've kind of written this in the show notes here. We said emphasize the direction over perfection. There are going to be stumbles, there's going to be mishaps, there's going to be setbacks, maybe some outright punches in the face as you go along. You might trip, you might fall, all that stuff's going to happen. Maybe. But if you continue to make progress in the right direction, it will not be perfect, but the results will be over time, will be
Mm,
perfect. Any
yeah.
last things you'd like to share?
Yeah, I feel like as you're thinking through this year, thinking of a lot of families, I think this is like I know a lot of, like, believers do this. They create a word for them for the year, but maybe thinking of a financial focus. So, like Joe mentioned, is it margin? Is it consistency with budgeting? Is it stewardship on how you're gonna steward your money? Like, what is that thing for your family? And I would, like, write it somewhere where you can see it, just like we encourage you to place your plans, hopes, and dreams somewhere you can see it, and the ladder somewhere you can see it so you know what rung you're on. Like, placing these things in a visible spot and having the discussion with your kids and your spouse and your family where you're all on the same page and this year we are focusing on margin, and it's a great thing for you to be able to explain that and teach it to your kids in a way that they understand on their level, but it allows you to bring them in where you're all, okay, our family this year, this is our word, this is what we're focusing on, and this is why we're doing it. It allows you guys to get pumped for the year ahead and focused, and every time something comes up, you're able to bring it back to, "Okay, remember our word for this year is this. You know, this is
Yeah,
why we're
and
doing
I
this."
think that's actually a great way for those that are watching this podcast to just leave a comment. What is your word for the coming year? You know,
Mhm.
there's words that come to mind. Is the word margin? Is it peace? Is it stewardship? Is it freedom? Is it thrive? Is it save? I don't know what it is, but we would love to hear what your word is. Others can draw inspiration from that. And we really do thank you for trusting us to help you with your financial journey so that you can live your fully funded life. We're super excited for the improvements that are continue to be released on our fully funded life platform. We really encourage you to check it out and consider becoming a pro member in the coming year. That might be a life altering next step that you could take is to invest a few dollars into becoming a pro member, taking advantage of that coaching that's included there, the courses, being a part of one of the challenges. We'd love to have you be on board as one of our pro members. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.